Well, hello everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe at home. Also getting all your e-learning turned in on time. Today I'm going to do a super simple recipe for us. We're going back to some bread work because I want to kind of do some Italian food for you guys so that you might be able to make your own focaccia bread, which is what we're going to make today. So simple recipe, 4 basic ingredients. We need yeast and water, which I have here. I already started this with some warm water, 2 packets of yeast, tiny bit of sugar because that yeast is a living organism, remember, and it needs something to eat. So it's growing really nice in our Pyrex liquid measuring cup right now. Then we have salt. So a little bit of salt, kosher salt in here. And then we have flour and some olive oil, and those are our ingredients for our focaccia. So first thing that I did, because I have a very fine sifter here, is I sifted our 3.5 cups of flour into a large bowl. I'm going to add in my salt to that, and that was about a tablespoon of salt. And I'm just going to mix this up really well, and I'm going to actually form a well in the center. We're going to take our yeast and our water, which has grown up really nice. I only had 4 ounces of water in here, and we're already up past the cup measure, so that's perfect. It ate very well for us, all that sugar. All right, and I'm going to scrape out all these bubbles because those are kind of important. Put that alongside, and then I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm using Greek olive oil today. It's extra virgin cold press, meaning that it's definitely less bitter because they press it with cold water. And it's the first press, so those are the really nice olives. I'm going to take my wooden spoon and I'm just going to start mixing those ingredients together inside the bowl until they pretty much come together. Now I said I've only put 1/4 cup of water in this so far. So I'm just going to bring these ingredients together, and you're going to see that we've got some nice big clumps of flour and everything in the bowl. All right, I am going to add, and I'm going to just check this to make sure I've got 6 ounces. And remember, whenever you're measuring, you want to make sure that if you're using a liquid measuring cup, you want to bend down to make sure that you are on the proper line, and I'm right at 6 ounces, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add about half of this water. And then I'm going to continue to stir with my wooden spoon. Now, we're going to make a variation. I'm going to make a variation of this bread today. Regular recipe, that's all it calls for. But I am going to take this loaf of bread to dinner tonight. A friend of mine is going to be making some pasta and sausage, and I thought focaccia would be a great addition to the dinner. All right, now that I've got this as mixed up as well as I can with my spoon, I've cleaned off the spoon, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into this with my hands. And what I'm doing is I'm literally just pushing down and trying to incorporate all that extra dry flour into the wet ingredients. So we're going to add the rest of this water. Pretty sure it's going to take it all. And we're just going to keep mixing this till it forms a really nice ball and all of our ingredients have come together. So if you guys can see this, I've got almost all of my ingredients formed into this one giant ball. It's a little sticky on my hands, but that's okay. Because once I have this kind of incorporated together, I'm going to take it out and I'm just going to clean my fingers off this extra dough. Again, I don't want to throw any of this away. It's going to add to our focaccia. All right, and then once I've got all this done and I've got my hands cleaned off, I will come right back and I'm going to show you the kneading process. We're going to get this kneaded and then go on to the next step. So I will be right back. Okay, and on to part 2. So we have our dough already formed into a ball in our bowl. Sorry, our dough in our bowl formed into a ball. I have just sprinkled a bit of flour onto my kneading surface, as you guys can see. And I'm just going to go ahead and take the dough out of the bowl. I'm going to roll it a little bit in this flour. And then we're going to start kneading. They say that we need to knead this for 10 minutes. I'm not going to make you guys sit and watch me knead for 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you a couple of instructions on how to knead this if you guys forgot so far. And then I will be back with step 3. So to start with our kneading, we would definitely, again, want to make sure that we've got a nice thin layer of flour. We don't want too much flour. We don't want the dough sticking to our hands. So that's why I rolled it in the flour to begin with. We're going to lay this down, and all I'm going to do is fold this over in half, and then I'm going to push down with the palm of my hand. This part right here. Then we're going to turn it, we're going to fold it, and we're going to push down. And that's all we're going to do. And what this does is it actually works the strands of gluten that are in the flour and makes the flour strong and hold up, so that when we cook this bread, it's going to have lots of little holes and nooks and crannies in it, because that's what we're looking for. So we're just going to keep bending and folding and pressing and bending and folding and pressing for about 10 minutes. Soon as I am done with this step, then I am going to go ahead and bring you guys back and show you our next step. So in about 10 minutes, or TV magic, we'll be back in a flash. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am pretty much done with my 10 minutes of kneading. As you can see, I cleaned off my table. Again, just working that dough into itself over and over again. It should come out real smooth and soft. We're going to take the bottom and we're going to turn it into itself. And you want to pinch it all together like a big ball right at the bottom, just kind of to come together. So they have what they call a nice boule, and that's what that's called, is a boule. We're going to take this, we're going to put it right back into our bowl. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover this with saran wrap. I'm going to put this in a warm place, which is going to be on the back of my oven, until it doubles in size. So it's going to take about 1.5 to 2 hours for that to happen. Soon as we have this doubled in size, I will come back to you guys and show you how we're going to make our variation of this focaccia bread today. And yeah, then we'll go from there. So I'll be back in a jiffy. Okay, everybody, and now we're back. So the bread dough has been sitting in the bowl on top of my oven on the stove for approximately 2 hours. I'm going to take off the saran wrap, and if you'll look here, the dough is definitely doubled in size. So what our next step is to be done is to actually deflate, or we're going to punch the dough. But when you punch the dough, you don't actually punch it with your fists. You're basically going to pick the dough up on the edge and you're going to fold it into itself. And you're going to do that all the way around the bowl until you have another ball of dough. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to carefully pull this out. And I have, again, a nice lightly floured surface. I don't want too much. If I think I have too much, I can push some off to the side. And I told you guys that I was going to be doing a variation of this dough. So my variation is I'm going to be adding some roasted garlic, which I roasted myself earlier today. I have chopped fresh rosemary from the garden. I've got some dried basil because my basil isn't ready. And in this application, I would prefer to use the dry because the dry has got a more intense flavor. And if I use the fresh, it would have to be a whole lot of basil. I also have some Parmesan cheese, Reggiano Parmigiano, and we have some olive oil that we're going to need to put into the bottom of the pan. But we're going to first add these additions or these variations. So I'm just going to work my dough out to make it a little bigger. And then I'm just going to cover the top of the dough with my ingredients. So I like a lot of roasted garlic. I'm going to use a good sprinkle of rosemary and a good pinch of basil. And then last but not least, I'm going to add in some of these finer pieces of my Reggiano Parmigiano. I've got some that are like larger pieces that are shaved. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold all my dough into itself. Get all of those ingredients kind of stuck in the center. And then we're just going to knead this dough just like we would any other dough. This is part of the focaccia process, even without the variation, is that they're asking for you to knead for a second time. So as I'm kneading and I'm pushing all this in, you can start to see we've got the inside of the dough now coming to the outside, which is what we want. So we want to see that garlic. We want to see all those herbs. We might not see the cheese, but we're definitely going to taste it. Good. So this is looking nice. It's a little tacky, so I'm going to add just a little flour to my hands, not necessarily the table. And the reason that it's tacky is because of the moisture in the roasted garlic. Okay, so that's got a good knead. It's got a great smell. I can't wait to eat this later. I've got a 10-inch round cake pan. I have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm just going to coat the bottom of the pan with the olive oil. This is what's going to give some more moisture, definitely flavor because it's a fat, and it's going to help crisp up the actual bread when it's baking in the oven. I've set my oven now at for 400 degrees. I'm going to take my focaccia and I'm just going to kind of round it out a little bit because it's going to go inside that round pan. So round is much better and easier to work with than a square and turning that into something round. So let me grab, that's my oven saying it's ready to go. So I'm going to put this right into the pan, and then all I'm going to do is push this out as far as I can around the sides. And it's not going to right now necessarily touch all the sides, because we have to let this rest for another 30 minutes. And what's going to happen is it's going to double again almost. Especially with my oven being on now. And that a little bit of extra heat. Help it rise real nice. All right, so I've got that all gussied up and pretty like. I'm just going to cover it with my saran wrap and let that sit for the half an hour. Wait for it to rise real nice again, and we'll finish up our last 2 steps. See you soon. Okay guys, and we're back. So I have allowed the dough to rest on the top of my stove for approximately 40 minutes. I said 30, but it took a little longer. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna unwrap the top of the saran wrap, take that off the bread. And if you look real good, you can see that I've risen all the way up the pan about 3/4 of the way. So that's what we're looking for. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take our fingers and you're just gonna start poking holes into the dough. And you can do that any way you want, make a design, or just put your fingers in there and make a ton of little holes or bumps. We're looking for bumps, not holes. And then as soon as we do that, we've got nice dimples in there. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just cover this with a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna sprinkle it with salt, and then we're gonna pop this in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes. And as soon as it comes out, I will have a finished product for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I really wish you were here in the kitchen with me right now to smell what this focaccia smells like. It is absolutely fabulous. It did take a little while longer. I had it in the oven for about 35 minutes, but if you want to take a look at it, we've got really nice golden brown in color. The little browner spots are either the cheese or the garlic. This just came out of the oven. But if you flip it over and look at it, if it's nice and golden brown on the bottom, you know that it's all done. So I'm gonna let my focaccia rest for a bit, and I'm looking forward to eating it with my friends this evening. I hope you guys stay safe and are looking forward to our next video.